Hey guys, it's Homeschool Monday, and you guessed it, today is all about homeschool. So I said in the intro, today is all about Homeschool Monday, and so I thought for my first video, I would really sit down and talk to you guys about how we started homeschooling and a little bit about our homeschooling journey. So, for those of you who do not know, I was actually homeschooled myself on and off most of my childhood. And my mom had put me back in school in my 7th grade year and enrolled me in a private Catholic school. And can I say, I don't think I lasted 3 months at that school. I was completely miserable. It wasn't that the academics were too hard, it was that the people were just not nice. I was bullied. I remember sitting at lunch. I had set out my food, and then the next thing I know, I had forgotten napkins. So I had gotten up to go get some napkins, and when I walked back, my food was dumped everywhere. I mean, they just literally poured my food out, just like in the movies. The girls said really nasty things about me, and it was just a miserable experience. It got to the point to I snuck out of the lunchroom and I would sit down in the gym by myself just so I could eat. I remember one point at its worst, I was sitting in my English class and she looked at me and she said, "You know, Rachel, you would not be failing this class if you showed up." Well, one of the reasons I wasn't showing up to class is I was getting sick all the time. I was actually allergic to two trees in our front yard, and my mom and dad kept taking me to the doctor. And I had just started on allergy meds, and not like the pill kind like Zyrtec like they have now. I was actually giving myself like 4 shots in my legs. And so I was devastated. So not only were the girls bullying me, now they had a reason. Rachel was not doing well in school. And I remember after that, I called my mom and I was like, "I can't do this, Mom. Come get me." And she did. And from then on, I started homeschooling. So homeschooling wasn't a crazy thing to me. I understood how it worked. I knew things I would want to do differently in my homeschool, and I knew things that I just absolutely thought was the best thing ever. So I was excited at the thought of homeschooling. Though in the very beginning, when I had graduated homeschooling and I first had my oldest, I swore up and down I would not homeschool. That was crazy. Why would I do that? And then when my son was in kindergarten, my husband was in Korea on an unaccompanied tour. And for those of you who are not military and y'all don't know what that means, he was in Korea stationed for a whole year without his family as we were in the States. And I called him up and I said, "I want to homeschool my kids." And he goes, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yes, I really feel like this is a thing I'm supposed to do." So he said, "Okay," and I attempted. And it was a horrible attempt. I didn't know what to do. I hated it. And so after about 5 months of doing it, no, it was 6 months because I put him into school in November, a little less than 6 months. So I put him into school in November, and then Nathan started school in kindergarten in November at the local elementary school. And so I washed my hands of that. I wasn't meant to be a homeschool mom, even though I loved doing activities with my kids and I loved being with my kids. It just wasn't for us. And so I just kind of chalked it up to that. And part of the thing I think that contributed to it is my husband was gone. And I was also working part-time, and I just think I had just too much on my plate. And I had 2 kids under the age of 5. So after that experience, we moved to Colorado when he got back from Korea. And then he did so we put the kids in the local elementary school, and they were doing great. But I noticed my middle child had a few learning disabilities. He he has ADHD, and he has problems focusing in class. And it wasn't that he was a bad kid or that he was even struggling. I just noticed that there were signs that if we didn't nip these in the bud, I was going to see him fail. And I didn't want that for my kid. I was told that in kindergarten I needed to make him repeat. And I told the principal that no, I didn't want my child to repeat. I didn't like that idea. He did well academically. It wasn't an academic problem. He was a maturity. He was a very young 5-year-old when he started. And they said no, he needed to. And I said, okay, well, then I'm going to homeschool, or you're going to let me pick my teacher. And they're like, no, you can't do that. And I was like, yes, I can. And so they talked to the principal, and then they called me back and they said, who do you want? And I said, I want. And I gave them the teacher's name. And they said, okay. And Sean was in her class, and he did great. And she confirmed my suspicions. He wasn't having problems academically. She actually had to give him extra work so he wouldn't fall behind. He was just a little immature because he was such a young kindergartner. And then my husband, and during my middle son was in 1st grade, my oldest was in 3rd grade. My husband got orders to Germany, and we moved there. And on our way to Germany, I remember driving in the car with my husband, and I remember looking at him, and I said, all right, I'm homeschooling. And he goes, what? No, you said you didn't like it. Why are we doing this again? What about socialization? And I was like, this is really what I want to do. I love spending time with my kids. I want a little more control of their education. And this is just a great thing. And he's like, okay, well, what about socializing? And I was like, you're asking me about socialization. You're the public school kid, and I'm the homeschool kid. And which one of us is the social flower? And he laughed, and he's like, yeah, you're right. Because my husband is very quiet and shy until you get to know him. And so that was that. And we decided to homeschool. And from there, it has been an up and down experience. We have learned things that did not work, but we've also learned things that worked. One of my saving graces was when we found a community called Classical Conversations in Germany. And I met such a wonderful group of moms who completely embraced me and my kids, and they just helped us stay accountable, and it was just a beautiful thing. And so there are great things about it, and I can't wait to share more about Classical Conversations. Sorry, I keep looking over. I have my notes. What type of homeschoolers are us? Well, we are a mixture. We do classical, I do literature based, I even do traditional. It's honestly what is working for our kids at the time. I notice, things change. It fluctuates with each kid, what's going to work. So I just have to learn to roll with it. So I can't wait to share some of my favorite curriculum with you. And so thank you for listening to our homeschool journey. It's been fun. I mean, the first year was rough. But now that we're completing our 3rd year, I can say that so far it's going pretty good. And, as I said in my intro video, we are completing this year. My oldest is completing 7th grade, so he will be going into 8th grade next year. My middle son is completing 5th grade, and he's going to be a 6th grader. And my baby is no longer a baby, as he's fresh out of kindergarten and moving on up to 1st grade. So thank you guys for coming and listening to our story. I have compiled a thing of resources on my blog for you. So if you're curious about homeschooling and don't know where to start, go click on the link below and it will take you straight to some fun things. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, subscribe to my channel, and like this video. Give me a thumbs up. Alrighty, thank you. Bye.